he ended up leaving too. All your people leaving, waiting your life away, you know, because nothing's going to change unless you change it. I'm probably like, why this girl been patting her head this long time? Yes, me going to a funeral for my family is way more important than this freaking job. That's not even my job. Hey y'all, so welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm ready! Hey y'all, so welcome back and welcome to the new folks here. Y'all, I am doing a story time. Get ready with me. I was going to do a voiceover, but I feel like I really want to talk to y'all in time, and it's really on my heart to talk about this topic. I don't know why, and I've had it on my list of possible videos for a long time now, but I'm looking through the list. This one just stuck out to me. Like, I was like, I want to talk about this right now. So I don't know why that is. I don't know who this is helping or if it's confirming something for you. I don't know. But this is what we're about to talk about. I'm about to talk about why I chose to leave corporate America, y'all. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm about to do that while I also do my makeup. So this is gonna be a 2-in-1 video. But I'm not gonna talk too much because I always be talking a lot in my intros. If you know, you know. So let me get straight into this. I don't know if I wanna go ahead and introduce like what I do or what I did and then start doing my makeup when I get into the story or what. I don't know. Let me just start. Okay. I'm not gonna talk about what I'm putting on my face, y'all, because y'all done seen I'm using the same products I used last video. If you haven't seen my makeup series videos, so you can go check that out. But anyway, y'all, so I'm a trade engineer. I have my bachelor's in architectural engineering, and I got that from Tucson State University here in Nashville. And then I went back to school and I got my master's in civil engineering with a focus in structural. Really, my focus was in construction, a combination of construction and structural. And so when I got out of school, well, before I got out of school, I'm just gonna give y'all whole school background, how we led to this story. I did 3 internships, I think. I'm gonna say two internships because that's all I remember. So I had one internship at, I don't even want to say names of the companies, but the big corporate construction companies, commercial construction companies. But I'll just tell you where the job site that I was located on was. I worked on St. Thomas Hospital in Rutherford County. Is it county? I think it's county, Rutherford County. I worked on the St. Thomas here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. There was a renovation I worked on as intern for this commercial contracting company. We're not saying no names and no companies on here. So y'all, I was a project engineer on the job site. But after that, I went to another company to intern as a project engineer. And I was on the job site of a high-rise apartment complex in the Gulch in Nashville. What? In the Gulch in Nashville, if you know where that is. So I worked on that. And then right after school, I'm trying to see if I got enough primer on. But right after school, I don't know how this gonna look though. But let's see. Right after school, I decided to go with a company that was doing work here in Nashville at the Nashville airport. So that is the job that we're talking about. And I was a field engineer there. Yeah, I was a field engineer there, y'all. I really already got my eyebrows done recently. So I'm probably just gonna, hold on y'all. I gotta put my glasses on to see a little bit. I don't know if I really wanna do anything to my eyebrows. Maybe. I don't know, they look decent to me. I'm gonna leave that alone this time. Like I said, a field engineer at this company. We're working on Nashville's airport. I'm working specifically on the international arrivals facility for this company. And I work on the exterior of the project, the site of the project. So yeah. So setting this up, I'm going to say that I am the only female in this bullpen, or, you know, because in this job site, so I'm a field engineer. So instead of being a project engineer who is in the office at the computer for most of the day, I'm out in the field. So we have an on-site office, y'all. And so they usually build an on-site office, or, you know, it's not really like we have our own rooms or anything like that, our own offices, nothing like that. We are in a bullpen. Basically, we have our own little cubicle areas, and that's where we work at while we need to sit down. But for the most part, for field engineers, they plan for us to be outside in the field, watching over our subcontractors, watching over whatever tasks for the day. Like, we're supposed to be ones out on the site all the time over our specific areas. So like I said, mine was exterior and site work. So I was outside for most of the day. Basically all day, you know, if I'm not in my desk working on something. So the rest of them, they split up the interior, how it is. You have this section, you have the other person has this section. So we all were, it's about, how many field engineers it was? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would say it's 10 or less field engineers at the time. And I am the only female. It's a room full of guys. But y'all, when I say this, I'm just letting y'all know the setup of it. I don't mind that. I don't love it, but I don't mind that because going into construction, going into engineering, I already knew that was gonna be the case, y'all. It's a male-dominated field. That's what you expect. That's what you're gonna get. Yeah, that's what to expect. I feel like if you're not a person that can feel as a woman comfortable working with a whole bunch of men, and if you're a black woman, a whole bunch of white men, let's just be real, it's a white male-dominated field. And so if you don't feel comfortable around men, then I wouldn't suggest you go in this field, y'all, or just start to prepare to get comfortable. So I already know going in that I'm probably going to be the only female, you know. That's just kind of what I expect. That's just kind of what I expect going into anything, any job, to be one of the only females. And usually if there are females, they're not in the field. Most of the females that I know that are still in the construction work, they do office work. So they're basically like project engineers, Whereas I, at this job, was a field engineer. So I was out on site. So our typical day, was a 12-hour day. Let's just throw it out there. So we worked from about 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., y'all. That was just our normal day. You would expect to be there 12 hours, 12-hour day. On top of us having 12-hour days, we also had to work on the weekend. So every weekend we split into teams. One team would have a weekend. So it's 4 teams, and each team had their own weekend of the month for them to be there when we're doing weekend work, which was all the time. I'm sorry, y'all. If I'm looking this way, I'm looking in the mirror. I'm trying to get this all together. This is really hard for me, y'all, because I'm still learning how to do my makeup, so it's hard for me to try to sit here and talk while I do this, but I wanted to, challenge myself today. Don't know why, but that's what we're doing. But like I said, that's our typical hours for our day. And if you are familiar with the construction field, you know that that's pretty normal across the board. And I expected that going into that because I want to do construction. Now, what I don't want to confuse people, because I know people get confused when I say field engineer, you don't have to be an actual engineer like I was. Half of them, basically all of them in the bullpen, field engineers were not engineers. You know what I'm saying? They did not go to school and get a degree in engineering. So it was only me and one other person. So that was not, when I say field engineering, that's just the title that they use in construction. But they're not actually technically engineers, y'all. They aren't technically trained as engineers. So when you come to like the construction field, I want that to be known, because a lot of people confuse it when you say engineers. There's plenty of people that are labeled as field engineers or project engineers, and they do not have a degree in engineering. Okay, it's not a requirement. So I just want y'all to know that. Clear up some confusion. So yeah, I was one of the only ones. It was only one other person who actually had their degree in engineering as a field engineer with me. The rest of everybody had their degrees in construction management or construction something, but that's what their degrees was in. Ours, I think he was a civil engineer by trade, but y'all. Okay, I wrote notes so I can stay on topic, because if you know me, been here for a while, I can ramble and we can have this be a long video that is unnecessary. So, like I said, 12 hours a day was a typical day, and then we also worked the weekends whenever our team worked, and then we also had a night shift, y'all. So if our coworkers couldn't make it, and it was only 2 people on the night team, so if one of them could make it, somebody would have to fill in from daytime. But we would we would rotate who would take their place for night shift. So not only was we working weekends, we was also working nights sometimes. And along with that, if you were working your regular daytime, you was working 12 hours. Okay, cool beans. That's kind of to set it up. And I'm also, one of 2 black people or minorities in the bullpen as well. It's only 2 minorities in the bullpen, and I was one of them. The other one was a black male. Okay, y'all. So I'm just setting up the dynamic of of the work environment. I'm setting up the dynamic of the work environment. I'm dropping stuff. Okay, y'all. So my whole thing with this video is going to be know your freaking worth. Okay, know your worth, because that's all it comes down to for why I left corporate America. Why I left this particular company specifically is because I know my freaking worth, and they weren't valuing me. And so now I'm about to go into why I feel like that is, y'all. Like I said, now that I set it up, only other engineer by trade for this company was one other guy. Okay, y'all, and he ended up leaving too. So y'all, I just found that funny. But okay. So I'm gonna start the story off just telling y'all some of my first red flags that I seen when I got there. And then we're gonna go more into it. So one of the first red flags I seen when I got there is so many people were leaving, y'all. When I tell y'all so many people were leaving, it was like a different person every week was leaving this company. And for a new person going in, that was a big red flag for me, because why are your people leaving? Why are your people leaving you? And I was just like, I don't know about this. This is a red flag for me, because why is everybody choosing to leave this company? And I want to know. Okay, so one of the people actually came up to me. He was very friendly. He used to eat with us, like the new people. He would go eat with us. He was just really friendly and opening. And I found out he's leaving too. And so he tells us, like, just out of nowhere, he tells us one day when we were going to lunch or something with him. This is like right after we found out he was leaving. And he's like, take your boundaries now, because if you let them work you to the ground, they will take all your worth. They will work you to the ground if you let them, basically, is what he was telling us. I'm like, okay, is that one of the reasons you leaving? Like, that's kind of what it gave me, because nobody said anything to make him say that to us, but he just kind of like offered that advice to us. And I just found that really crazy that he would just say that, because like at this point I'm really new. I'm new, so I'm still in my first month, so that was just like surprising. And then after all these people leaving, that was like I said, a huge red flag for me. Jumping ahead of myself, but y'all, even then, after all that, when I put in my resignation letter, when I tell you, majority of my coworkers that are like my peers, they was coming up to me like, oh, what job did you find? How did you find that job? What are you doing? I was basically telling them, like, I'm going to work for my family business. Like, I'm moving out of commercial. I'm going back to residential, and I'm working for my family business. Oh, do you have job openings? Can I go with you? Can you take me with you? Like, that was all of them. Okay, y'all. And I'm just like, so I'm not the only one feeling like this. So I don't want y'all to think like, oh, you're overthinking it. You're overdoing it. No, y'all. Everybody was feeling overworked and undervalued. And that's basically why I was like, no. That's why I said this whole video point is know your worth. Know your worth. people, know your worth. I jumped ahead, but I just found that really funny, y'all, that when I was coming in, all these people were leaving, and I got that advice from that guy. And then as I'm leaving, everybody asking me for advice, like, oh, how'd you find a new job? Where'd you find a new job? What's it like? Can I take you with me? Can you hook me up? Basically, like, they was all looking for a way out too, and I feel like for them, everybody's situation is different. So, and for them, they were kind of feeling like trapped, like they gotta stay here, like they don't have that many options. And, you know, a lot of people also at this point, they have fiancés, and, you know, they got a lot more going on. Not a lot more going on, but a lot more people to consider and take care of. Whereas me, I'm only taking care of myself. I have no kids. I don't have no fiance. Like, I'm not worried about nobody but me, and that's the only person I have to take care of. I don't have no student loans at this point, so I have nothing that's holding me back from quitting this job. Because a lot of them, like I said, they had the families coming, babies coming, fiancés, student loans they would talk about. Like, I didn't have any of that. I didn't have no student loans for my bachelor's. My master's was getting paid for. And yeah, I barely had any bills, because, like, my parents basically was like, as long as you're in school, they got me. So, like, my parents was paying my phone bill still, even though I was working. They still choosing to pay my phone bill just because I was still in school. And they wanted to take, you know, my parents don't want me to be stressed. They want to take a lot of stress away from me. So, they pay my phone bill. I live in their old house that I'm renting from them. So, they give me a discounted rent price for me staying here than what they would charge somebody else. So, y'all, I was not paying too much for anything. I didn't have any real bills other than my car at the time, my Audi. That was the only thing I was paying for myself for real. Everything else, I was either paying at a discount because of my parents, or they were paying. So I had no other worries or anything holding me back from saying F this job.
I am quitting this job. Got to go, got to go.
Nothing. Like I said, my situation was different from theirs, and my situation is probably different from yours as well. So I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not advertising quitting your job. It's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing that, y'all. I am going to say, if you are unhappy in your job, I say don't dwell on it. Okay, y'all? Don't just come home being unhappy and just waiting your life away, you know, because nothing's going to change unless you change it. So my thing is, whenever you get free time, whenever you get off work, start preparing for your next thing. Start preparing for your next job, y'all. You will use some of that money that you get from that job you hate to invest it in something that can possibly lead you away from that job. Invest in business, invest in stocks, investing in anything that you feel like is going to remove you from that job that you hate. Because everybody, like I said, everybody can't just do what I did and just up and quit. But don't sulk in you hating this job. Do something about it. Like, when you have that weekend time, when you have that time outside of work, start finding something that is going to lead you away from that job you hate. Whether that's looking for a new job, like I said, investing in something, investing in a business, whatever that is for you, use that time instead of just going home and sulking, oh, I hate this job. Oh, I'm so sad. Oh, you know, like, don't come home also and just sulk in the fact that you hate your job. You know, use either the money, use your knowledge from the job that you hate, that you had, and build on it. You know, let that lead you somewhere else where you actually want to be. That way you're not just stuck in a repeating cycle for the rest of your life, hating this job and coming home and just hating it. And I'm just like, no, that wasn't going to be me. And like I said, unlike a lot of people, I had the opportunity to just quit, which is not everybody's opportunity. So that's why I'm saying that use that time, even if you don't want to quit, start looking into stuff. Start looking into anything that you feel like that can lead you away from that job that you hate, instead of the time that you spend thinking about that job that you hate. Use that time to start making a new job, looking for a new job, anything. Shoot, I used to spend my lunches, even before I decided to quit and start working my day, I used to spend my lunches looking at just other jobs, just to see what was out there, just for fun. So even though I didn't need to have a job when I quit, it was just like, you know, that's not the story, but I'm getting off track with the story. But I just wanted to tell y'all that before I go into it. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm just promoting quitting. Okay, I just want to get that out there before we get more into the story of why I quit. Okay, I think the foundation is good. Y'all probably like, why this girl been patting her head this long time? Y'all, I be like, the foundation is the foundation, y'all. You just can't be, you gotta be blended, or the rest of that stuff not gonna look right. It's the foundation. It's the foundation. It's all blended. I'm gonna let it sit real quick while we starting the story, because I've been procrastinating a little bit. Also, jumping ahead, as far as when I resigned, y'all, when I put in my letter, it's kind of confirmed to me that I was doing the right thing, because the only people who came to talk to me for real was more so my peers, the same people that was asking to leave or me to take them with them. Those were people that mostly came to talk to me. They was trying to go with me as far as leaving the company, but they also was giving me praise and like kudos to you for, you know, getting up out of here, basically. And it was also like, you're gonna do big things. I know you're getting your master's and all that, like, you're gonna do big things in life. And I'm like, I didn't even feel like these people be like, none of the guys there I like really hung out with, like, outside of work. I didn't eat lunch with nobody for real. Like, I was really to myself. So for them to just say that about me, I was like, and I also was like, why do people, it was like scary, because it was like a continuous thing. Like, this kept happening to me. Like, people around me that barely even knew me would be like, oh, you're gonna do big things, you're gonna do big things. Like, in the work field. So a lot of my peers was like the ones that was there talking to me. And I also got that when I first even got there, like in the first couple of weeks, I got that from a supervisor that is not even my direct supervisor. I didn't even know this man really paid any attention to me, y'all. He ends up at an event me and my parents go to. He ends up telling my mom and dad, "Oh, your daughter, basically like your daughter handles herself really well, especially to be in a room full of men. Like she just basically like I was confident and I was owning the room. Like I wasn't intimidated like most people would be in a room full of men." And he was basically just giving me praise on like staying on top of my stuff and how I handled myself and how I handle basically a room when I'm in it. And he was like, a lot of people can't do that. And I'm like, you know, it's very scary. But I'm saying all this to say to y'all, don't let that job make you feel like you're not meant for something bigger, as if you're not going to still do big things. Them saying that had to do specifically with the job. I feel like if I'm going to do that, that's going to be with or without the job, y'all. So I don't feel like you have to hold on a job because you feel like that's the way you're going to make an impact or anything like that. Like, it's me. It's not the job. It's not the company. It's me, you know? But also, to say all that means people be paying attention to you. Even when you don't know it, even when you have no clue that they're paying attention to you, that they're looking at you, that they're noticing things about you, people are watching you. People are always watching you. Like I said, the person that said it from that company, that wasn't even my direct supervisor, y'all. I guess in my eyes, I barely see him. So I would think like he barely sees me or he barely notices what I'm doing as well. But no, he's paying attention to me and he's noticing me and my work and what I'm doing. So always, even if you don't like the job, do what you do. Do what you're supposed to do and do it to 110% because somebody's watching. Somebody's always watching. That's my spiel. Somebody's always watching, y'all, for real. Go on to say about the resignation letter. When I put that in, what confirmed, like, yes, I'm doing the right thing is that nobody admin-wise directly over me, not my direct supervisor, but the one I'm going to talk about, the one over him, he didn't come to me asking me why or try to keep me there or nothing. I didn't hear anything from the HR. Nobody trying to keep me there. As far as the people on my job site, the HR that's involved with my job site and all the people in the admin and office that's directly connected to my job site, nobody came to talk to me as a head administrator is trying to keep me there, why I was leaving. No, like, it was just like they didn't care, like, oh, she's finally leaving, like, I don't care if you leave or not, basically. To me, I was like, you know what? It started to make me question, like, my worth, but at the same time, then I go and talk to my peers, and my peers are talking to me like, oh, you know, they're giving me praise. Like I said, they're saying this and that, like, you know, about my work ethic and how they notice what I'm doing. So I know it's not what I was doing. It's not my work or anything like that. I just feel like that place wasn't meant for me. And I don't know what the admin's reason is to not wanting to keep me there, not caring why I left, not asking. But hey, y'all, let's get into more of the story. But it did confirm to me, like, yes, that's good that you're leaving, because while I'm sitting over here breaking my neck trying to give them 110%, working on the 12 hours, working after the 12 hours at home, working on the weekends, working at night, while I'm just sitting here doing all that, giving them extra effort, and I'm putting in more work than my other peers, and on top of that, I'm going to school and getting my master's, and y'all can't even come ask me, what's up, why are you leaving? You don't even care. It was just like, yes, confirmation that I should leave. Like, that's not meant for me. They don't even care. They don't even care why. They don't even care to find out why, you know? So that was confirmation. Okay, so let's get into the real issue. Okay, y'all, that's just an overlook of like the whole big reason as to why I left. Feeling undervalued and underappreciated and overworked. Okay, y'all, so that's the main thing. But as far as like specific things that happened that made me like really look at this company, you know, crazy, is my not direct supervisor. All my direct supervisors were really nice and really cool people. It was the supervisor over them, and that supervisor over them never changed. Like, my direct supervisor would change every now and then, but that head supervisor over them, directly over them, would not change. Okay, I always had him as my supervisor. Okay, and he's the type of boss, y'all, that you only see when it's something negative. I never saw this man unless it was something negative he had to say about me, about what was going on the job site. He was just the type of person I felt like was always waiting on somebody to make a mistake. And in this case, I was only like field engineer under him at the time. So like, it was basically like you were waiting on me to make a mistake. And I feel like we've all had people like that in our life. We've all had like bosses or superiors or supervisors, you know, some superior, admin, teacher, anybody like that you know is just like, they're just kind of looking for you to mess up. And I feel like that's the type of person he was. So I'm gonna go into a few instances on where he really pissed me off, y'all, for real. These little instances with him as well that I just did not like at all. That was like minor issues, that the other big issue wasn't the case. I probably could have dealt with these minor issues with him because I wouldn't have been with him, you know, for my next job. Hopefully not. But I most likely wouldn't have been with him for my next job site that I was at. So I wouldn't always have to deal with him. But the combination of both, it was like, no, I'm not doing this. I don't need this in my life. My main thing with him is he didn't know how to communicate. So one instance he showed that with me, and I felt like it was just with me because he would talk to people all the time. Like, it was one other person who ended up being under him with me. Like, we were basically two field engineers under him before he was moved somewhere else. So it was him and me, and he found time to talk to this man, you know. He was there before me, obviously, but he was in his office chatting it up with him, you know. So it was given that it was just me. Like, he just had a hard time talking to me, and for whatever reason, I don't know why. I feel like I know why, but it wasn't confirmed, so I'm not gonna say that. The first thing it came up is, I'm gonna take a break from doing my makeup right now. I know. Because I'm trying to get the story at least to a good midpoint for me to start back doing my makeup. So the first thing was PTO. We had a set amount of days. Everybody know what PTO is, paid time off. So we had a set amount of days off. So I had put in for a vacation time. And I think I was going to be one day over. It was the end of the year. So I was going to be one day over where I wasn't going to get paid time off. It was just going to be a day off. And I wasn't going to get paid for it. So I was cool with that. One day, cool. I was going for my friend's birthday, and that's just what it was. So I put in for that time, and then all of a sudden I get an email from HR talking about basically none of that time I put in was going to be paid time off. I'm like, why? Because I know my calculations of my paid time off. I know what I signed up for, and I know how many days I put in. So I calculated this already, and I know I was going to have one day. And you're telling me all the days that I took off are not going to be paid? That's not right. And so I emailed her back and, like, you know, questioning what's going on and telling her that I had so and so amount of days. And so she was like, basically it ended up coming out that he was the one who started all this mess. He emailed her, HR, about my PTO. Instead of just coming to talk to me, y'all, that was the main issue. Instead of just coming to talk to me like, hey, you're a little over your days, you know, just asking me what's up. You're my boss, you're my supervisor. Why would you go straight to HR? Basically, it was just like, I felt like he was like, oh my gosh, I found something she messed up on. Let me, you know, he was just so quick to send it to HR without even coming to me and questioning it. And come to find out, they were still counting a vacation that I took off days for on paperwork, but I never actually went on that vacation. I ended up canceling that vacation, and I stayed and worked those days. And my direct boss knew that. So not only did he not talk to my direct boss to find out what happened, which could have just ended the whole thing right there, you didn't talk to me either. And it was my PTO days. You could have just asked me, and we wouldn't even have to waste HR time. You wasted her time, my time, when all you had to do was have a 30-second conversation with me, and I would have told you I didn't take off those days. I ended up not going on that trip, and I came in those days. And it was easy to prove I came in those days because we had to do, as a field engineer, you have to do daily logs. So all subcontractors we have at the job, we have to, whichever ones work in our specific areas those days, we have to put our initials in the system, and we have to type out what they did in our area as a daily log to keep up with all our subcontractors and where they're at and what they're doing. And it was obvious when I went to the daily log that I had initials there, and I was there that day. I had pictures that showed I was there that I uploaded. I had my initials under all the subcontractors that I was in my area. So it was obvious and easy to prove that I was there those days that you are claiming that I wasn't there because of the mess up with the paperwork. This wasn't updated. The paperwork wasn't updated to show that I'd end up not taking those vacation days. But my thing with him was, why not just, it was like he felt like he didn't need to talk to me because it was like I said, he found something that I supposedly did wrong, and he just went straight to HR with it. Instead of, you're literally across the door from me. You could literally come in here, take maybe 20 steps to come to me and ask me that simple little question. But instead, you typed a full, long, old email to HR instead of just coming to me and asking me the simple question. But it all got worked out, y'all. She ended up, like I said, I was right on my calculations. So I only had one day that wasn't paid, and the HR person got that handled. But my thing with him was, like I said, you're literally on the same job site as me. HR person is not even in the same state as me. Why is she the one coming to talk to me instead of you, my direct supervisor? And the whole time you just make yourself look bad because now you don't even know what you're talking about. You're my supervisor. You should know if I was there or not there. You know? Why you just talk to this HR person about me being on a job site that you're literally put at as my supervisor, and you don't even know that I was there those days? And my thing, even if he wanted to, he has access to the daily logs, y'all. He has the same access that I have to prove that I was there on those days. So he could have took time himself to go check the daily log and see if I was there those days, and to confirm what he was writing to the HR was even right. But he didn't even care to even look at that, y'all. And that was the crazy part about it. On top of the fact that you couldn't even come talk to me, and I'm 15, 20 steps away from your office every day. Then it was another time, same thing happened like with some paperwork. So I had 2 deaths in my family. 2 deaths, and I had to go, it was back-to-back weekends on whatever month this was, okay? And he wanted me to work a night shift, okay? So I had to reschedule around my night shifts with somebody else. Because we could, if we had to do something, we could like swap shifts, basically. We just had to let our supervisor know, okay? So when he sent out the night shift list of who was going to work night shift these so-and-so days to cover for the person that was going to be out on night shift, I'm like, immediately, I know back-to-back nights that I'm going to be in Memphis for a family death. Okay, y'all? So I talked to all the field engineers, and one person said that he could take my days. We went ahead and scheduled swapping the days out. He had these days, I had these days. And the days I ended up with, I would be able to go to Memphis for the 2 funerals both weekends, the way that we had switched days. Okay, I send it to my supervisor like I'm supposed to. Type it up, send it to him like I'm supposed to. He confirms it. Okay. Fast forward to literally the week of. This man calls me in his office talking about the days you switched with so-and-so is not going to work. But I'm like, you confirmed it. I literally sent this to you a month ago and you confirmed it. So still, that's you not doing your job. Stop trying to put that on me. He's like, you're not going to be able to take those days off. Why are you switching these days with him? I don't like to separate nights like this. Because the way it was, y'all, that means for 1 week, he wanted one person to work a whole night weekend. Okay? And I couldn't work Saturday night because I knew I was going to be the whole Saturday in Memphis for the funeral both weekends. So it was like I was working Friday and Sunday night of one weekend, and he was working my Saturday. And then I would work the next weekend, Friday and Sunday, and he was working my Saturday weekend. Okay? Something like that. But it was like we didn't switch our full weekends. We just switched days in the weekends. Okay? And he was basically like he didn't like that. But my thing with that is, even if you didn't like that and it was your preference, you shouldn't have confirmed it. I sent it to you. I didn't know your thought process of you wanted one person for a whole weekend. We just switched the days up to make it work for us. Okay? And I sent it to you. You had ample amount of time to tell me no. But you not only didn't tell me no, you confirmed that I was okay to do this. So still not my fault. I'm going to both of these funerals. You're not about to tell me I'm not going to be able to go to my family's funeral. And then he's like, why do you need to go both weekends? And I'm like, because I have 2 funerals to go to, and one's on one weekend and one's on the other. And he was basically like, y'all, this man told me, well, is that important? Like, is that important for you to be at? Yes, me going to a funeral for my family is way more important than this freaking job. But I ain't saying it like that, y'all. But just common sense. That why would me being here at this freaking job matter more than going with my family? Like, why would you even ask that? First of all, that's very insensitive for you to even say. I'm telling you that I have 2 deaths in my family, and I have to go to Memphis for 2 different weekends for deaths in my family, and you're sitting here worried about work. This man not once even said, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. You don't know who I'm saying has died. You don't know who I just said has died. It could have been my grandmother. It could have been my mother, my father. You don't know who died. He didn't even care enough to ask who died. He didn't care enough to say, sorry for your loss. He didn't care enough to say none of that. That man just said, is that more important than being here? Can you miss one of them? I'm like, first of all, I had to get myself together, because the fact that when somebody brings up they're going to a funeral, the first thing that come out your mouth is, I'm sorry for your loss. If you're a decent person, that's the first thing that should be coming out your freaking mouth. But yours is, he didn't even fathom, like, he didn't say nothing about the death of my family member. Neither one. That man just was so focused on getting his little schedule together for work, that man didn't say nothing. No, sorry for your loss, no, nothing. So I was already like, you know what, I'm on the verge of getting out of character, because one, it's not my responsibility to overcheck your work. You had the opportunity to check the dates I switched. I sent it to you a month ago. You should have been checked that. You should have been checked it and double checked it if you're doing your job like you're supposed to. Then on top of that, you want me to fix your mistake. He was basically like, well, I need you to figure out what we're going to do. No, you need to figure out what you're going to do. It's your schedule that you messed up. You need to figure out what you're going to do. Basically, like, insinuating I can't leave here until we figure something out. No, you need to figure it out. And instead of going off and like just being getting real out of character, y'all, I had to suck it up because I was really pissed off. Because I couldn't even believe, first of all, once I told you it was a funeral, I feel like there should have been some sensitivity showing, like, why would you want me? I'm telling you, I'm going to funerals, my family funerals, and you're worrying me about a schedule that's not even on my job criteria to worry about. That's not even my job to worry about your freaking schedule. I did my part. I did my job. Instead of coming to you just crying about the funeral and stuff, I went and found somebody to switch my days with. Sent it to you like I'm supposed to get it confirmed, and you confirmed it. I did everything I was supposed to. You're the one who didn't do your job. Okay, y'all. So when I got myself together, I just stopped speaking. I literally just stopped speaking until he had his little spiel done. I was basically like, he explained everything I just explained y'all about how he likes to keep it 1 weekend, 1 person because of sleeping wise, getting people back into work on daytime shift. I get all that, but you confirmed what I said to you a month ago. That ain't my problem. And so I told him at the end of all that, he can figure something out. I'll work with him, whatever he need me to work with, I will work with him. But I'm not coming in on the both days I have the funerals. I'm not. I did what I was supposed to, and you're not going to punish me because you didn't do your work. So that's all I said is I'm going to the funerals. I'll do whatever else you want. If you want to pick up an extra shift or you want me to do whatever, I'm going to the 2 funerals. That's how we ended that, because baby, ooh, he had me at that point. And then he also, fast forward, this is like kind of like the same year, well, this is very close to when I end up resigning, like maybe 2 months or 3 months before y'all. As y'all can see, I have a hard time doing 2 things at once. But then fast forward to me having to do my evaluation, my 6-month evaluation, y'all. So I had my 6-month evaluation with my direct supervisor. Well, he would have been my old direct supervisor by this point because he ended up leaving like a month before I had to do my evaluation to another job. But since he was the main one there, for majority of my thing, they had him still come do my evaluation because out of my 6 months, he was the main person I was under. So it didn't make sense for me to do my 6-month evaluation with a person that's only been there for 2-3 weeks with me. So they did it with him, and the one I was telling y'all about that asked me about the family member thing and the PTO. That boss. Okay, yeah. I like to put a lot of concealer. I like a bright under eye too. So we at my 6-month evaluation. Let me see how I'm gonna tell the story. Trying to make sure I'm sad the same way y'all. My boyfriend came here to talk to me and stuff. Okay, so I did a few things while he was sitting here talking to me. So evaluation time comes, and I'm having the conversation with my direct supervisor and my old direct supervisor and the man we talking about. Okay, y'all. So again, like I said, my old direct supervisor, he's giving me a lot of praise and stuff about. He said first that I was one of the best people at reading and comprehending, understanding blueprints. Basically, he was praising me that a lot of people don't come out understanding and comprehending blueprints like you do. You have a very detailed comprehension of blueprints, which I should. I went to school for designing blueprints. I should be able to understand them. But he was just like praising me for that, it's a compliment either way. So he also said something along the lines of, when I make a mistake, I own up to it. Like, he liked that about me. He was praising me for all the things I did do. I was also over a part of their SWIP program, so like stormwater prevention plans and stuff like that. I was one of their representatives basically who got trained on it. So it was me and one other person over that for the job site. So they was telling me about how it got better, like our inspections that I had to do, because I had to do inspections on the site to make sure everybody was keeping up with, what we're supposed to do to prevent and protect as far as runoff and all that stuff goes. So he was just giving me praises about all the things I do. I take a lot of photos, my daily logs, like how I do my daily logs, how I do all my checks, the surveying when I did, how I got better at surveying. Because at first, since I went to school for designing blueprints and like the engineering aspect of what I did, architectural engineering, we covered site surveying and site as a theoretical thing, like in the books we did that. But as far as actually using surveying equipment and going out and doing that, I didn't do that in school. Like most of them had, because they did construction management degrees and stuff like that. So even though I knew the theoretical sense of like computations and all that about surveying, I had never. And basically he said I got better at it because it was taking me a long time at first to do it. But I would stay out there for a long time. I would stay out there until I finished whatever I need to do, or I would ask for help or whatever. I would stay out there. I remember one time I was so frustrated, y'all, and I stayed out there until it was almost basically nighttime outside. One of the only people outside there at night doing these freaking surveying points. So yeah, he was giving me praise, and the only thing he did say, which his critiques were actually valid. I'm going to say that his critiques were valid. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I feel like he was very fair with me, and my direct supervisor was very fair in any critique that he gave and all the praises that he gave. And I feel like it was better for him to give me that because he was the one who was actually there with me. So he was basically saying, he's like, the only problem we had was I was starting to run late, y'all, because me doing my working for them for 12 hours and then going straight to school for my master's and having to stay up and do their work and my master's and stuff, I was just losing sleep. And a few times I came to work, maybe like, just running 5 minutes late or something like that. It was never no like 2 hours, hour late. Like I never did that now. But he was basically like, he's a type A person, so he always expects you to come like 15 minutes early, 30 minutes early and all that stuff. So he was just basically wanting me to be there early. I was basically getting there either on time or maybe 5 minutes later than I should have. I was still getting in the meetings that I was supposed to. Our 6:30 meeting, I was still making it, but it was like he could see that I was rushing, and he wanted me to just be there early, basically. And so I took that critique because it was true. Like I was all over the place, y'all. I was trying to do 110 for them, trying to do 110 for my school, just regular stuff I had to do at the house. It was just a lot. So I took the critique and I ate that. And that was one of the only critiques he had for me as far as that. And he claimed I was also on my phone a lot, which is not really true, y'all. He did a lot of our work on our phone. I took notes on my phone, and I ended up telling him that I usually take notes on my phone for most of the thing. I don't like to usually write it down. I ended up starting writing it down after this just because I didn't want there to be no confusion, because we in a different age as them, like that. So them seeing me on my phone, they think I'm on social media or something like that. Like ain't none of them ever call me on social media. Like even if I was on social media, you never seen me on there. The only time I've been in front of you using my phone, if I know, my thing is, if I know you're looking at me and we're in a meeting, why would I be sitting there on social media? Like, I'm smarter than that, baby. Or I'm checking a text that somebody sent me, which they all do that. Ain't nobody just not taking their phone out if somebody texts them or something like that. Like, I'm not sitting there just texting, chatting back. Like, but I will if somebody texts me on my phone. I work phone with my personal phone. So if somebody's texting me, my parents or something like that, I'm going to look and check and see if it's important. If it's not important, I won't respond. But if it is, I'll respond. But for the most part, if I'm just sitting there on my phone in a meeting, I'm taking notes. I'm not just sitting there scrolling on social media. Like, be for real. I did let him know that was not the case. Whether he believed me or not, okay, I didn't say nothing to that being earlier thing, because I recognized that I wasn't doing the worst at it. But like I said, I was told by my parents to be on time is to be what is it? To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. Whatever, all that. So I completely understood where he was coming from, and I was cool with that critique. But the phone one, no, I'm not just sitting dibbling dabbling on my phone in front of you. Like, that's disrespectful, and I wouldn't do that. So that was his 2 critiques for me. But as far as like my actual work goes, it was all praise. He was good with that. But as far as the other guy goes, so my direct supervisor finishes. He gave me those critiques and he gave me all the rest of those praises for my actual work. And I guess, I don't know if he just didn't like that I was getting praised this much for my job, but it was like he had to say, it was like he had to say something to make, it was like he was trying to make my old direct supervisor feel the same way he felt. Like I didn't deserve that praise. Like he didn't like that I got that praise. So then he tried to throw me under the bus with my direct supervisor, old direct supervisor, by saying we had one issue when my old direct supervisor left. He had sent